Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge has given an overview of Barbados's performance over the last year. He said the island recorded 4.4% growth in the economy in 2023.
Our debt to GDP ratio remains sustainable and continue in the right direction, falling to 115.5% of GDP. The robust economic growth would have strengthened the fiscal position, allowing the government to achieve a primary surplus of 3.8% of GDP. We saw also during 2023 the reserve increasing to $3 billion, second highest on record to date.
Dr. Greenidge credited the economic growth primarily to tourism. He said the sector flourished in 2023 as a result of strategic marketing, high-profile cricket events, and the revival of the crop-over festivities. Visitor arrivals totaled 636,540.
As per usual, tourism led the performance of the economy with very strong performance, increasing 18%. This is arrivals, 18% on 2022.
From a cruise perspective, by the end of 2023, in-transit arrivals totaled 441,667, a 76.3% increase relative to 2022. Despite the fact that tourism has seen a significant rebound and growth in comparison to 2022, it must be noted that excluding the United Kingdom, none of Barbados's source markets, like the United States, Canada, or CARICOM, has returned to pre-pandemic levels.
And what is constraining factors is still remain high airline ticket prices and limited airline capacity have not yet returned, even though we saw a significant improvement in that.
However, Barbados did see a substantial increase in visitor spend, marking the largest rise in travel credits since 2007, excluding 2022. International reserves surged as a result of tourism earnings and funding from international financial institutions, resulting in 31.6 weeks of import cover. But tourism was not the only sector that performed.
All sectors contributed, even though within some sectors there was some mixed performance. In agriculture in particular, while food crop did an impressive performance, the extreme weather in terms of heat in particular and some inconsistency in terms of feed meant that milk, chicken, and other meats were down relative to the previous year.
As it relates to inflation, there was a 0.8% increase due to local factors, like adverse weather conditions, as previously mentioned, along with one other.
Higher demand for dining. Barbadians continue to enjoy the strong performance of the economy. Eating out, dining out, there's increased demand for alcoholic beverages, and not sure how to interpret that. Clothing and household furnishing. So it's person spending money, and that spending of money is going to drive up prices and keep them elevated.
Along with inflation, the unemployment rate also increased by 1.2%.
That edging up was a result of an increase in the number of persons retiring, about 2,300 persons retired from the labor force, and a further decline of the labor force by 3,500. At the same time, we had some job losses, mainly agriculture and general admin.
Despite this, the unemployment rate remains below the historical average. Dr. Greenidge also gave the economic outlook for 2024.
We expect the economy to continue to expand, about 4%, 3.5 to 4% in 2024. That should remind persons that might sound like a small number, but remember, the economy has grown to be a little larger than it was in 2019. And therefore, getting more out of it requires more input from investment in private sector and investment public sector.
He noted that the growth outlook is subject to several risks. For example, the IMF is projecting a global economic slowdown and potential geopolitical conflict, both of which could negatively impact the 2024 forecast. Those were some of the highlights coming out of the central bank's economic review.